Right, let me do a quick over-the-shoulder tutorial on installing tuners. There's various ways of doing this, but I'm going to show you a pretty easy, straightforward way of doing it. The assumption is that the holes have already been drilled in the proper places and are the correct diameter to match the tuners that you're going to use. Something that may happen, a nice handy tool just in case they aren't, is a reamer like this. So if you go to, here's the tuner, I'm going to install it in the hole. Now you can see this, I'm going to hold it up to the camera. You can see that fits nice and flush, but the hole's not too big or anything. If it was not quite big enough, I can take the reamer and just, widen it out a little bit so I can get it fitting in there snugly, but so that it fits in all the way. When you're buying pre-done necks from places like Mighty Might or Warmouth and other suppliers, that's usually not an issue because you've usually ordered the neck drilled out to match your tuners. Okay, and these are Goto SG 38105s, kind of a standard telly-looking tuner. And these holes are correct and they're in the right spot. Obviously this is just an old scrap piece of neck to show you though. Okay, essential tools other than, alright, I got my tuner and the parts that came with that, is I like this kind of an awl because it's got a nice big handle for me, because you're going to need to mark the screw holes, and rather than just doing it with a pencil or pen where it just leaves a surface mark, this is a very precise one because it has obviously a very sharp end, but that also puts a little divot in the wood. I'm just deliberately going to put one over here. So you can see if I push it down, and then I'm going to hold this up. I'm trying to do this in front of the camera. I think you can see it. So that the tip of the drill bit goes right in there. So you don't get any, if you go to drill it, suddenly go up over here. It goes where you want it to go. The other thing obviously you're going to need is a screwdriver. The screws for any kind of tuner, doesn't matter, the manufacturer are very small, and you need a small-headed Phillips head screwdriver in general to fit these, and you want to have as good a snug fit as you possibly can, so you aren't stripping those out. Okay. The other thing obviously you're going to need is something to drill the holes for those little tuner screws. Now you certainly can use, I've got my power drill in front of me. I actually like to use a hand drill because it's such a shallow hole, it's very easy to do, and I'm not worried then about the drill literally pulling itself through the headstock and poking out the other side. I'm actually going to demonstrate it using the power drill though, because it's generally the way most people do it. But the other thing you really need to do is, you can see I've already put a piece of masking tape on there. Is an easy way to do it is I've got this little tiny screw. This is the screws for the tuner. Is if I hold it like this, and I can tell you right now that they're 3/8 of an inch long, but rather than trying to use a ruler, you see I've just put the edge of the tape right where that is, and I can just go like that. So now when I drill, this becomes this, I can't go past that, and then I'm not worried about, you can see there's not a lot of extra room there. That it's going to be deep enough for the screw, but it won't go through to the face of the headstock. And you also need to know what diameter drill bit to use. This is a great little, to be honest, I think I got this for free in some woodworking magazine, but I know you can get these hardware stores and on Amazon and whatever. It's just a drill gauge, and you probably can't read it because they're just embossed numbers, but in both millimeters and in fractional inches it'll tell you 1/6, 5/64, and so on. So if you don't know the size of the screw, you can go like this and go, oh, it's not going through there, it's not going through there, oh, went through that when it's 3/32. I'm going to use a 5/64 inch drill bit, which in general is going to be the size you're going to use for, I'm going to say, almost every manufacturer. Especially in a maple headstock, you don't want to go too small of a hole. It's more likely to strip out the screw. And the screw really isn't really holding the tuner in the hole. If you think about it, if you've got the piece from the front and the piece from the back, I'm just going to do this by hand really quick, that goes on there like that, and literally just, goes on there like you're putting a bottle top on, is you've got the string pulling on it. The wood is keeping it from going anywhere. It's really just helping to keep it from spinning, so that it isn't being pulled on that way, the way you think of most screws being pulled on. Okay, so I've got my set of tuners. I've got the drill all set up and with a depth stop, if you will, so when I drill through, I don't drill through the headstock. It's the correct diameter. The holes are all set. I'm ready to start. Now, the simple way to do it is, most people want their tuner aligned, if you will, 90 degrees to this edge of the headstock. Most people don't want to install them like that. They want to install them straight. Now, you can just eyeball it. It is the reality. But what I like to do is if you turn doesn't matter what style knob you have, but if you turn it that way, it gives you, then I use the machinist square, I can line it up like that. So that, I eyeball, I might have been, oh, that looks right, but it actually was off. Where I go like this, boom, that's perfect. Okay, and then holding it like that in place, where I've already put that down fairly snug, I can put the awl in there, center it in the hole, and really push down till I've made a divot, which I'll bring it up here, but I'm going to guess you probably can't see. Just going to have to trust me on that. Now, when I'm doing a full neck, I will have it clamped to the table with the headstock actually hanging off the edge of the table to give me some room to work. And also because I'm doing it on a finished neck, I've got a curved fretboard on this side. So just to hold it steady, you'll often find that, like I said, clamping it to a table makes it much easier than just kind of rattling around on the tabletop. So now I've got and oh, by the way, is to start at this end, and I'll show you why in a minute. That's good to go, and I literally will leave the tuner there, take the drill, put it in there so I feel the tip of the drill bit is in that little divot, and I just until that tape touched the tuner. So I know blow out the dust. I know the screwdriver works really well with this. I can tighten it. I'm not going to worry about tightening it down all the way. Obviously, I'm going to be taking these out. And I can move on and do the next one in the same fashion. If these have been drilled out by a place like Warmis, a professional shop like that, they are probably perfectly aligned. So you actually could go along the bottoms, and they would all be in a line. These I drilled out, and to be honest, sometimes there's a very slight, which there is in this one, it's very slightly different. I still could eyeball it, attach the front again. Again, I'm just flipping this over and putting it on hand tight. I could use this already installed tuner with just a straight edge to make sure they're aligned, mark it, drill it. But I still can do this to double check if I want it to be absolutely sure. Again, mark it with the awl, drill the hole, and work my way down. When you get to the last one, there's no place to put this, and I can't do it this way because these have been installed. So the last one, yes, I will, if you will eyeball it or use a straight edge with the one that's installed. And then when they're all in, and these screws are down and tight, then I can flip it over and use a wrench to tighten these down. This is actually kind of you can get a set of these from Stu Mack, or you can buy them individually. It's just a deep socket. This happens to be 10 millimeter, which works on all the Goto tuners for, tightening that. You can also get, you can get these similar things at Lowe's or Home Depot or Amazon or wherever. and then they're all installed and you're good to go. I think I've covered it all. Hope this helped.